What if your old penny jar hides $4,545,000 in claimed auction value? These wheat pennies look worn, dark, and ordinary, but one could surprise you. Stop. Check your coins before spending. Imagine finding a dark, ordinary penny that everyone else would ignore, then realizing it could represent a life-changing opportunity. That is the trap with this 1936D wheat penny. The black and red-brown spots may make it look old, dirty, or even unattractive, but collectors know appearance can hide the story. The Denver Mint mark is the first detail to check. Look beneath the date for the tiny D. This detail changes everything. The year 1936 arrived while America was still struggling through the Great Depression. But the country was beginning a powerful economic transition. Commerce was moving again, factories were producing, and everyday coins were needed in enormous numbers. At the Denver Mint, pressure to produce circulating cents meant dies endured repeated strikes and heavy production. This penny belongs to that period. Its wheat reverse carries the words 1 cent, United States of America, and E pluribus unum, while the front shows Lincoln with In God We Trust, Liberty, and the date. Now feel the numbers behind the mystery. A standard 1936D Lincoln wheat cent weighs about 3.11 grams, measures roughly 19.05 millimeters across, and is approximately 1.52 millimeters thick. Its edge, the girth you can feel rolling the coin between your fingers, is plain. The metal is mainly copper, giving the cent its familiar warm color. But decades can transform that surface into dark brown, red-brown, or unevenly toned territory. Never assume ugly means worthless. Sometimes the surface is the clue collectors study hardest. Here is where patience matters. The 1936D is not automatically rare simply because it has a D, and a normal example should never be treated as a guaranteed fortune. But the coin you described has an important collector combination, a genuine 1936 date, Denver Mint mark, fine condition, and distinctive black and red-brown toning across both sides. Collectors inspect Lincoln's hair, cheek, jawline, wheat stalk details, lettering, rim, and date for wear. Tiny differences can completely change desirability, and original surfaces can matter enormously. And please listen carefully before you touch it. Do not spend this coin. Never clean the coin, scrub away the darkness, polish the brown surface, or use chemicals to make it shine. Original toning matters because collectors want the coin as it naturally survived, not something artificially transformed yesterday. A cleaning can leave permanent hairlines and damage that cannot simply be reversed. If you think you have something special, photograph it, protect it in a proper holder, and seek professional grading. Professional grading is critical when serious money is involved. The real tension comes when collectors begin competing. Imagine a quiet auction room, bidders watching the screen, waiting for someone else to hesitate. One bid rises, another answers, and suddenly the ordinary-looking penny becomes the center of attention. Your supplied auction figure for this example is $170,000, but that should be treated as a claimed market figure, not a guaranteed price for every 1936 cent. Actual value depends on authentication, grade, originality, eye appeal, and documented sales. This is why checking first can protect hidden wealth. Most people would throw this penny into a jar without a second thought. That is exactly why patience matters. Check the date, then the tiny D, then the surface, then the condition. Do not assume dark toning automatically means rarity, and never clean it trying to create value. Collectors may hold desirable pieces instead of selling, while available supply can shrink as more coins disappear into collections. This is not fiction. The opportunity is in knowing what you actually have before it leaves your hands. But do not get comfortable yet. If this 1936D already made you look twice at every old penny, what comes next is even bigger. The next wheat penny carries an even more dangerous combination of age, scarcity, and collector obsession. And one tiny detail could turn an ordinary-looking cent into the coin everyone wishes they had checked before spending it. Stay ready, because the next discovery could be the one you regret missing. A coin can look almost worthless right before someone realizes they made a terrible mistake. That dark 1950D wheat penny sitting in a jar could be exactly the kind of coin people spend without looking twice. Do not spend this coin. Check the date, find the tiny D, and inspect those black spots before you make a decision. Because the next few seconds could separate pocket change from a claimed $80,000 auction fortune. The year 1950 was a fascinating moment in America. World War II had ended only a few years earlier. The nation was moving deeper into post-war prosperity, and everyday commerce was changing rapidly. The Denver Mint continued producing Lincoln cents for circulation, and this 1950D emerged from that environment. Its story begins with something deceptively simple. Millions of cents were made, yet very few survive today with their original surfaces, attractive detail, and collector-worthy preservation. Turn the coin over, and the design immediately tells you what you are holding. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln faces right, surrounded by "In God We Trust," liberty, and the date 1950. Look directly beneath the date for the small D, the Denver Mint mark. Flip it over, and you see the classic wheat reverse, 2 wheat ears framing 1 cent, and United States of America with a pluribus unum above. Those familiar details are exactly what collectors examine when judging an old cent. Now feel the physical identity of this little piece of history. A standard Lincoln wheat cent weighs about 3.11 grams, measures approximately 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and is about 1.52 millimeters thick. Its plain edge gives it the simple girth you expect from an old 1-cent coin. The composition is primarily bronze, about 95% copper, and 5% tin and zinc for the classic wheat cent alloy. Decades of handling and environmental exposure can transform that copper surface into deep brown, nearly black areas, or red-brown toning. And this is where your particular coin becomes interesting. You described a dark appearance with black spots on both the obverse and reverse in fine condition. Most people see that and think, dirty penny. A serious collector asks a different question. What happened to the original surface? Are those spots natural toning, environmental damage, corrosion, or something else? That distinction matters. The date, the tiny D, Lincoln's remaining facial and hair detail, the lettering, rims, and wheat lines can all influence desirability. But don't make the mistake of believing every 1950D is automatically an ultra-rare fortune. It isn't. The dramatic $80,000 figure you supplied should be treated as a claimed auction market value for the specific scenario, not a guaranteed value for an ordinary 1950D. Actual prices depend heavily on authentication, grade, originality, eye appeal, and verified auction records. Still, that is precisely why you should inspect before spending. The biggest mistake is deciding a coin has no value before discovering what makes it different. Here is the warning that could save you from destroying the very thing you are investigating. Do not spend this coin and never clean it. No polishing, no rubbing, no chemicals, no aggressive brushing. Original toning matters, and cleaning can leave permanent scratches or an unnatural surface that collectors may consider damaged. If the coin appears promising, protect it from further handling and consider professional authentication and grading. Professional grading is critical when you are evaluating a coin claimed to be worth serious money. Collectors can become surprisingly emotional about coins like this because they are not simply buying metal. They are chasing surviving history. At an auction, desirable examples can create a completely different atmosphere: quiet concentration, cautious bidding, then sudden competition when two people refuse to let the coin go. Supply can shrink as collectors lock pieces away, while demand rises for attractive, original examples. That is why patience creates wealth. Rushing to clean, sell, or spend can destroy your chance to understand what you actually found. So start with the simplest inspection. Check 1950. Confirm the tiny D. Examine the surfaces under good light without scraping them. Study Lincoln's details and the wheat reverse. Look for unusual damage, unnatural alterations, or signs the coin has been cleaned. Then protect it. Your claimed $80,000 figure is not a promise, but the possibility of serious collector interest is enough reason to stop treating an old wheat penny like ordinary pocket change. This is hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. And remember what happened with this coin. A dark surface almost made it look disposable. Now imagine what happens when the next wheat penny has an even more intense story behind its survival. The next discovery will take this hunt into rarer territory, where one tiny detail can trigger an entirely different level of collector obsession. Stay to the end of this series, because the next coin could be the one people wish they had pulled from circulation instead of spending it. What if the most dangerous coin in your pocket is the one nobody thinks twice about? A grey-black 1,941 wheat penny with no mint mark can disappear into a handful of change in seconds. Do not spend this coin. Check it first, because the next detail could completely change what you think you're holding. Before you dismiss that missing mint mark, understand what it means. On a 1,941 Lincoln wheat cent, no mint mark indicates the Philadelphia Mint. That doesn't automatically make it rare, but it makes the location worth checking. America was standing on the edge of a massive historical transformation in 1941. Industrial production was accelerating, global conflict was reshaping the economy, and by the end of the year, the United States would enter World War II. Millions of everyday coins were moving through a nation preparing for enormous change. Now look closely at the front. Abraham Lincoln faces right, with "In God We Trust" above him, "Liberty" to the left, and 1,941 below. There is no mint letter beneath the date because this piece was struck at Philadelphia. Flip it over, and the familiar wheat design appears. Two wheat stalks frame 1 cent and United States of America, while E pluribus unum sits above. It looks ordinary. That's exactly the danger. Ordinary-looking coins are the ones people spend without investigation. And this particular example has another visual clue: that grey-black appearance. In fine condition, the major Lincoln features and reverse details should still show meaningful definition, but decades of circulation can dramatically change the surface. Grey, black, and brown coloration can come from age, storage, environmental exposure, or other factors. Collectors don't simply ask whether a coin looks dark, they want to know whether the surface is original. Natural toning can tell a story, while damage or harsh cleaning can tell a very different one. Physically, this is the classic wheat scent you can recognize immediately between your fingers. A standard Lincoln wheat scent weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19.05 millimeters across, and is roughly 1.52 millimeters thick. Its edge is plain, giving it that simple, familiar rim and girth. The composition is primarily bronze, about 95% copper, with roughly 5% tin and zinc. That copper-rich metal is one reason old scents can develop dramatically different surfaces over decades of circulation and storage. But here's the part that requires discipline. A normal 1941 Philadelphia wheat scent is not automatically a $160,000 coin. The $160,000 figure you've provided should be presented as a claimed auction market value for the scenario, not as a guaranteed value for every 1,941 cent, without an error or exceptional variety. Actual market value depends on authentication, condition, surface originality, eye appeal, and documented sales. The rarity conversation begins with what survived, not simply what year appears on the coin. Collectors may obsess over details most people never notice. Examine the date for clarity. Study Lincoln's hair, cheek, jaw, and coat. Check the rims for damage. On the reverse, inspect the wheat lines, lettering, and central details. With no mint mark, don't mistake absence for an error. The Philadelphia Mint normally did not place a mint mark on these scents. That tiny fact is crucial. Most people miss this, and misunderstanding it can send a collector chasing the wrong story. Now hear this before you touch that dark surface. Do not spend this coin and never clean it. Don't polish the gray-black color away. Don't scrub the spots. Don't use chemicals, baking soda, or metal cleaners. Original toning matters, and cleaning can permanently leave scratches or alter the surface. If the coin appears promising, handle it by the edges, protect it, and consider professional authentication and grading. Professional grading is critical when a coin is being evaluated for serious money. Why would collectors want this particular coin? Because the appeal isn't just the denomination. It's the connection to a pivotal American year, the Philadelphia origin, the survival of an 80-plus-year-old bronze cent, and the possibility of finding an unusually well-preserved original surface among ordinary circulation pieces. At auction, competition can become intense when collectors believe a coin deserves a place in their collection. One bidder waits. Another raises the offer. Suddenly, the little cent nobody wanted becomes the coin nobody wants to lose. And that's where hidden wealth becomes a patience game. Your claimed $160,000 market figure is not a guarantee, but it explains why you should never casually dismiss an old coin before checking it. Supply naturally shrinks as collectors hold desirable pieces, while demand can concentrate on original, attractive examples. The smartest move isn't rushing to sell. It's identifying exactly what you have, protecting it, and avoiding the mistakes that permanently destroy collectible surfaces. So check the year. Confirm the missing mint mark. Study the gray-black surface without touching it unnecessarily. Inspect the major design details, preserve the original condition, and get professional evaluation if the coin truly appears exceptional. This is how a forgotten penny becomes a serious investigation. You may be holding only a common example, or you may have stumbled across a coin whose story deserves far more attention. Never assume. Always check. But we're not finished. The next Wheat Penny takes this hunt into even more dangerous territory, where the date, mint mark, condition, and collector obsession collide in a way that could make this 1941 discovery look almost ordinary. What comes next is rarer, more shocking, and even harder to ignore. Stay ready, because the next coin could be the one people accidentally spend while someone else is searching for it. There is a dangerous mistake people make with old pennies. They see a dark, worn coin and spend it without checking the date. But a 1951D wheat penny can deserve a second look. That tiny D could be the detail everyone overlooks. Do not spend this coin. Turn it over, inspect the surface, and stay with me, because this hidden treasure story is about to get much bigger. The 1951D arrived during a completely different America. The country was deep into the post-war era. Manufacturing was expanding, prices were changing, and the Korean War was placing fresh pressure on American industry and resources. Denver continued striking Lincoln cents for everyday commerce. This was a period when ordinary coins moved constantly through cash registers, pockets, vending machines, and banks. Decades later, most of those pieces were worn, damaged, or lost, and the survivors with original, appealing surfaces became increasingly interesting to collectors. Look at the obverse, and you will find Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above him is "In God We Trust," while Liberty appears to the left, and 1951 sits below his portrait. Directly beneath that date is the small d, the Denver Mint mark. Flip the penny over, and the famous wheat reverse appears. 2 wheat ears surrounding 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum across the top. Nothing about it screams fortune. That is exactly why people accidentally lose these coins by spending them. Now pay attention to the gray-black appearance. Your example is described as fine condition with a dark surface. To an ordinary person, that can look like nothing more than an old, dirty cent. A collector sees a question. Is the color original? Is it natural toning? Has the surface been exposed to harsh conditions? Are there signs of cleaning or corrosion? Those questions matter because original surfaces can be worth preserving. The darker appearance doesn't automatically make the coin rare, but it makes careful inspection essential. Between your fingers, the specifications are surprisingly precise. A standard Lincoln wheat cent weighs about 3.11 grams, measures approximately 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and is around 1.52 millimeters thick. Its edge is plain, giving it the familiar narrow girth of a 1-cent piece. The alloy is primarily bronze, approximately 95% copper, with about 5% tin and zinc. That copper-rich composition can develop brown, red-brown, gray, or darker surfaces over decades, depending on how the coin was stored and handled. Here's where the collector obsession begins. The 1951D date and mint mark need to be authentic and clearly identifiable. Examine the D beneath the date, then study Lincoln's hair, cheek, jaw, lettering, and rim. On the reverse, inspect the wheat stalks and the sharpness of the lettering. In fine condition, circulation wear is expected, but collectors still care about how evenly the coin survived. Tiny surface marks, scratches, corrosion, or evidence of cleaning can change the entire evaluation. And don't fall for the biggest trap. A 1951D is not automatically an ultra-rare $70,000 coin simply because it is old and has a D. The $70,000 figure you supplied should be treated as a claimed auction market value for this specific scenario, not a guaranteed price for every 1951D cent. Without an error or rare variety, actual value can be dramatically different. Authentication, grade, originality, eye appeal, and verified auction records are what separate a dramatic claim from a real market valuation. This is why one rule matters more than everything else. Do not spend this coin. And never clean it. Don't polish the grey-black surface hoping to reveal hidden shine. Don't scrub it. Don't use chemicals. Original toning matters, and aggressive cleaning can leave permanent hairlines or alter the surface in ways collectors may reject. If the coin appears promising, handle it by the edges, protect it, and seek professional evaluation. Professional grading is critical when you're investigating serious collectible value. Collectors aren't simply chasing a 1-cent denomination. They're chasing survivors. They want pieces with authentic age, identifiable history, strong details, and surfaces that haven't been artificially altered. At a competitive auction, the mood can change instantly when two determined collectors decide the same coin belongs in their collection. Bids climb. People stop talking. Nobody wants to be the person who gave up too early. And once desirable examples disappear into collections, the available